Okay, War and Peace, Chapter 1. Eben, mon prince. So Genoa and Lucca are now no more than family estates of the Bonapartes. No, I warn you. If you don't say that this means war, if you still permit yourself to condone all the infamies, all the atrocities of this Antichrist, and that's what I really believe he is, I will have nothing more to do with you. You are now no longer my friend, my faithful slave, as you say. But how do you do? I see that I am frightening you. Sit down and tell me all about it. With these words, the renowned Anna Pavlovna Skera, lady-in-waiting and confidant to the Empress Maria Fedorovna, greeted Prince Vasily, a man of high rank and office, who was the first to arrive at her soiree on a July evening in the year 1805. Anna Pavlovna had been coughing for several days, after having had the gripe. As she said, gripe being a new word used only by the elite. Her notes of invitation, written in French, were delivered that morning by a scarlet-liveried footman, were without exception all the same. If you have nothing better to do, Monsieur le Comte or mon prince, and if the prospect of spending an evening with a poor invalid is not too frightening, I shall be delighted to see you at my house between 7 and 10 this evening. Annette Scherer. Mon Dieu, what a scathing attack, the prince responded, not in the least disconcerted by this reception, as he came in wearing his embroidered court uniform, knee breeches and low shoes with stars on his breast and a serene expression on his face. He spoke that courtly French in which our grandparents not only spoke but thought, and in the bland, condescending tone characteristic of a man of consequence grown old in society and at court. He went up to Anna Pavlovna and presented his gleaming, perfumed bald head, kissed her hand and placidly seated himself on the sofa. First of all, tell me how you are, chérie amie. Set my mind at rest, he said, without altering his voice and intonation, beneath the politeness and concern of which could be detected indifference and even mockery. How can one be well when suffering morally? Do you think it is possible, if one has any feeling, to remain calm in times like these? Asked Anna Pavlovna. You're staying all evening, I hope. And the fete at the English ambassador's? Today is Wednesday. I must put in an appearance there, said the prince. My daughter is coming for me, and will take me there. I thought today's festivities had been cancelled. I must say, all these fetes and fireworks are beginning to pall. Had they known that you wish it, the fete would have been postponed, said the prince, like a wound-up clock, saying by force of habit things that he did not even expect to be believed. Don't tease me, Eben. What has been decided in regard to Novosiltsev's dispatch? Vous savez tout? What can I tell you? Replied the prince in a cold, bored tone. What has been decided? They have decided that Bonaparte has burned his boats, and I believe we're getting ready to burn ours. Prince Vasily always spoke listlessly, like an actor repeating a part of an old play. Anna Pavlovna Skera, on the contrary, was brimming with zest and animation, despite her 40 years. To be an enthusiast had become a social attitude with her, and sometimes, even when she did not feel like it, she became enthusiastic in order not to disappoint the expectations of those who knew her. The discreet smile that continually played over her face was incongruous, with her faded features revealed, as in a spoiled child, a constant awareness of the charming defect she neither wished nor could never. The discreet smile that continually played over her face was incongruous, with her faded features revealed, as in a spoiled child, a constant awareness of the charming defect she neither wished nor could even found necessary to correct. In the midst of a conversation about politics, Anna Pavlovna burst out, "Oh, don't talk to me about Austria. It may be that I understand nothing of all this, but Austria never has and never will want war. She is betraying us. Russia alone must be Europe's saviour. Our benefactor is aware of his exalted calling and will be true to it. That is the one thing I have faith in. Our good and sublime sovereign is faced with undertaking the greatest role on earth. He is so virtuous and noble that God will not forsake him, and he will fulfill his mission and crush the hydra of revolution. which has been more dreadful than ever in the person of this assassin and miscreant. We alone must expiate the blood of the righteous, and whom can we trust, I ask you? England, with her commercial spirit, cannot understand the absolute loftiness of the soul of the Emperor Alexandra. She has refused to evacuate Malta. She has chosen to see, and even now is seeking an ulterior motive for her actions. What do they say to Novostiltsev? Nothing. They do not understand. They are incapable of understanding. The self-abnegation of our emperor, who wants nothing for himself but desires everything for the good of the world. What have they promised? Nothing. And what have they promised they won't perform? And what they have promised they won't perform. Prussia has already announced that Bonaparte is invincible, and that all Europe can do nothing to oppose him. And I don't believe one word that either Hardenberg or Haugwitz says. That famous Prussian neutrality is nothing but a snare. I believe only in God and the exalted destiny of our gracious Emperor. He will save Europe. She suddenly stopped and smiled wryly at her own fervour. I believe that they had sent you. I believe had they sent you, said the Prince with a smile, instead of our dear Wintzengerode, you would have taken the King of Prussia by storm and won his acquiescence. Will you give me some tea? At once. Propos, she added, having grown calm again. There will be two very interesting men here tonight. Le Vicomte de Mortemart, who is related to the Montmorencys through the Rohans, one of the best French families. He is one of the good... He's one of the good emigres, the genuine ones. And then the A. Morio. Are you acquainted with the profound intellect? He has been received by the Emperor, have you heard? Ah, I shall be delighted, said the Prince. Tell me, he added, with elaborate casualness, as if the question he was about to ask had just occurred to him, when in fact it was the chief purpose of his visit. Is it true that the Dowager Empress wants Baron Funke to be appointed First Secretary in Vienna? He is a poor specimen, that Baron, by all accounts. Prince Vasily wanted to obtain this post for his son, but others were trying, through the Empress Maria Fyodorovna, to get it for the Baron. Anna Pavlovna all but closed her eyes to signify that neither Anna Pavlovna all but closed her eyes to signify that neither she nor anyone else could pass judgment on what the Empress might see fit, or please to do. Monsieur le Baron de Funke was recommended to the Dowager Empress by her sister, was all she said, in a dry, pained tone. The moment Anna Pavlovna spoke of the Empress, her face assumed an expression of deep, sincere devotion, and respect tinged with melancholy. This occurred every time she mentioned her illustrious patroness. Remarking that Her Majesty had been pleased to show Baron Funke beaucoup d'estime, again her gaze clouded over with melancholy. The Prince lapsed into an impassive silence. Anna Pavlovna, with the quick-wittedness and tact natural to a courtier and a woman, wanted to give the Prince a little rap on the knuckles for having the temerity to speak disparagingly of a man who had been recommended to the Empress. At the same time, she wanted to solace him. Mais à propos de votre famille, she said. You know that since your daughter came out, everyone has been delighted with her. She is considered a great beauty. The Prince bowed to denote his respect and gratitude. I often think, continued Anna Pavlovna, after a momentary pause, smiling graciously and drawing nearer to the Prince, as if to show him that the political and social talk was over, and a more intimate conversation was about to begin. I often think how unfairly life's favours are proportioned, sometimes. Why has fate given you two, except your youngest, Anatole, whom I do not like, she interjected, raising her eyebrows and speaking in a peremptory tone, two such charming children, and really, you appreciate them less than anyone, so you don't deserve to have them. And she smiled her ecstatic smile. Que voulez-vous? I lack the bump of paternity, as Lavater would have said, retorted the Prince. Stop joking. I wanted to have a serious talk with you. You know, I am very pleased with your youngest son. Between ourselves, her face assumed its melancholy expression. People have been talking about him at Her Majesty's, and feeling sorry for you. The prince said nothing, but she paused, gazing at him significantly as she waited for a reply. Prince Vasily frowned. "What am I to do?" he said at last. "You know I have done everything a father could do for their education, and they have both turned out des imbeciles. Hippolyte is at least a temperate fool, but Anatole is troublesome." "That is the only difference between them," he said, with a more animated and unnatural smile than usual, which quite distinctly revealed something unexpectedly coarse and disagreeable in the lines around his mouth. "But why are children born to men like you? If you were not a father, I would have nothing to reproach you with," said Anna Pavlovna, looking up pensively. "I am your faithful slave, and to you alone can I confess this. My children are the bane of my existence, my cross. That is how I explain it to myself. Qui voulez-vous?" He broke off, with a gesture expressing his resignation to a cruel fate. Anna Pavlovna grew thoughtful. "Have you ever thought of marrying off your prodigal son, Anatole?" she asked. "They say old maids have a mania for matchmaking." "I have never been conscious of such a weakness in myself. However, I have a certain petite personne in mind who is very unhappy with her father, a relative of ours, Princess Bolkonskaya." Prince Vasily made no reply, though with the memory and rapidity of a judgment characteristic of a man of the world, he indicated by a movement of the head that he had taken in and was considering this information. "Do you know what that boy has cost me? 40,000 a year. Do you know that boy costs me 40,000 a year?" he said, apparently unable to check the dismal course of his thoughts. He was silent for a moment, and then said, "If it goes on like this, what will it be in 5 years? The advantage of being a father." "Is this princess rich?" "Her father is exceedingly rich and miserly. He lives in the country. The famous Prince Bolkonsky, you know, who was retired under the late emperor and nicknamed the King of Prussia. He is very clever, but eccentric, a difficult man. The poor girl is unhappy, as she can be. She has a brother, an aide-de-camp to Kutuzov, who recently married Lisa Miner. He'll be here this evening." "Écoutez, chère Annette," said the prince, suddenly taking her hand and for some reason bending it downwards. "Arrange this matter for me, and I shall be your faithful slave forever. Slave, as my village elder writes his reports to me. She of a good family and rich, that's all I want." And with his characteristic familiarity and easy grace, he took the lady-in-waiting's hand, kissed it, and gave it a little shake, and lolled back into his chair, his eyes gazing into space. "Attendez," said Anna Pavlovna, reflecting. "I'll speak to Lisa, young Bolkonsky's wife, this evening. Perhaps it can be arranged. So it would be your family that I shall begin my apprenticeship as an old maid." That's the end of chapter 1. Thank you.